Hey guys, what's up? This is Arceus, aka Tankin27, and welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be basically just going over the gear and the new raiding scene in 4.3. So yeah, let's get right into it. As far as the raiding scene is concerned, basically what Blizzard is trying to do this patch and in the future is make the easy modes like normal and raid finder easier, and the hard modes like heroic mode harder. So you know, the raid finder and the normal mode are easier than, you know, most normal modes, and of course the raid finder's really easy. And the heroic mode for Dragon Soul is, you know, harder than most heroic modes, than your average heroic mode. So the thing this is basically going to cause is guilds who normally don't raid are going to, you know, be more open to this, because, you know, they're going to say, well, hey, look, that wasn't so hard. Like, I've seen a group of inexperienced raiders, you know, go 3 out of 8, and, you know, other guilds are going to see that too, and smart guild leaders, or, you know, brave guild leaders are going to say, you know, well, look, that wasn't too hard. Maybe we can do this. Let's throw a raid team together. So basically what that's going to mean is tanks are going to be in higher demand. So if you are looking for a raid guild, keep that in mind, that, you know, more and more guilds are going to start raiding, because, you know, it's you know, about the same difficulty as Wrath, maybe easier. You know, easier than it has been for the whole expansion by far. And if people aren't playing Star Wars, then, you know, they might want to start a raiding guild and start, you know, killing some raid bosses. So that's just something to look out for. As far as the raid finder is concerned, patch has been out for about 3 weeks, maybe 4 almost, and I've taken advantage of it almost every week except for this one, and well, it's definitely easy. You kind of roll on through it with no problem, and once you understand the very broad and general gist of the fight, is very easy to tank and go through those bosses. And this is great. Not only does it, you know, offer the raiding experience, it also, you know, drops some pretty good gear for the average person like myself who is not in a raiding guild, or and, you know, wants to experience that and gear up their character. Alright, so speaking of gear, let's go ahead and jump into that. There are a few things to take note for the patch as far as gear is concerned. Justice points. Go ahead and spend those on anything you didn't get in the last tier, same as it's always been. It really doesn't matter what you spend those on, because they're so easy to get. Valor points. The only Valor pieces that are worth anything, if you were trying to build up your survivability set, and you're trying to get block capped, or whatever the case is, you're just trying to be the most you're trying to be as survivable as possible as a tank. The pieces to look for are going to be the neck, the trinket, the Fire of the Deep. There's also a cloak and a relic. The cloak, actually, I believe, now that I think about it, isn't too good. If you're wondering why I'm recording the old barracks, is because I get much better frame rate with the lack of people around, so I really don't want to fly over there and check, and I think my Atlas loot is outdated. Anyway, basically, a lot of the pieces in the Valor selection for Valor points, a lot of the pieces, especially the plate pieces, either have threat stats on them or don't have mastery on them. And those are really big turnoffs for me. So if you're not block capped, you really don't want to be wasting your Valor points on something that doesn't have mastery on it, or something that has threat status on it, because as I covered in my previous video, as I covered in the 4.3 video, threat is no more a problem for tanks. It is very easy to maintain threat, especially at the beginning of the fight now, with the way they changed Vengeance. But there are a few select pieces for Valor points, the Relic, I know for definite the Relic, the Neck, and the Trinket are all great. I might be mistaken by saying the Cloak as well is all good. There is, however, a Belt. The Belt is actually an interesting slot for us, because if you were someone like myself who grinded up Avengers of Hydra rep in the last patch and got the the 378 belt from them, the belt from the Girl of Lost Heroes from Well of Eternity, I believe it is actually better, slightly better than the one from Firelands, and it is also arguably better than the one from Valor Points. The reason being it's got more mastery, surprisingly enough. However, you do get another socket, more stamina, of course, more strength, a better socket bonus, and more parry. So it's really it probably wouldn't matter that much. But outside of rating or Valor Points, this Girdle of the Lost Heroes is actually better than the Firelands one. So be on the lookout. Speaking of which, the 3 new dungeons, they all drop 378 gear. Some of them are pretty cool. The drops, I mean. The shield's pretty nice. The weapon, too. If you didn't get a weapon from Firelands like myself, be on the lookout for those. The helm is also pretty great. Another interesting slot for us is the shoulders. So if you were like me, and you weren't lucky enough to get those shoulders off of Ragnaros, and if you were the tank who was going to get his token second, and you never got your shoulders last tier, the Heaving Plates of Protection are actually your best shoulders outside of Dragon Soul. The ones from the 3 new dungeons, they were not that good. The Heaving Plates have mastery on them, and that is what makes them stand out. They are 359, which drags my item level down a lot, but I'm block capped, and if I take that piece off, I might go under. So, thing to note, there is, however, a wonderful shoulder drop off of the first boss in Dragon Soul. It's actually our best in slot. And it's off the very first boss, and it's definitely something to look out for, and then try to grab. Obviously you want to get it at heroic level eventually, but if you're not in a guild that's doing heroic modes, Raid Finder, and normal mode, for all levels, it is our best in slot. Shoulder slot thingy, yeah. Right, so things about the Raid Finder, take advantage of it if you can. The gear is pretty nice, especially for a tank. You're basically only rolling against one other person for some drops, and if you have like a Druid tank or Death Knight, you can basically be the only one rolling on it in some cases. I did get my 3-piece already from Raid Finder, so this is my own personal experience, but the queue going in by yourself can be anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes as a tank. I believe the queue is actually shorter for DPS, just because there are a lot more DPS in every group than there are tanks, and there's less groups, so tanks have to wait longer. But basically, the gear is better than your 378, and if you're not in a raiding guild, it's a great way to gear up and just have that experience. To briefly talk about the 2-piece bonus, I got it and I tested it out. I went full blown, changing my spec and my glyph to make my judgment hit as hard as possible, and it kind of acts similar to Deathstrike. If you were unfamiliar with the Death Knight's main ability, Deathstrike, it basically does a similar effect, except it heals you. OP. But basically, it is pretty cool. What I found is that now, since I lost my other 2-piece from Firelands gear, all my abilities hit around the same. Crusader Strike always hits like a freight train. Judgment now can crit from anywhere to 40 or 50k. You know, Avenger's Shield, I have it focused, so it's always hitting high. And of course, you know, Shield of the Righteous is always a big sucker punch. You know, excluding Holy Wrath, those 4 abilities are all hitting pretty equally. So so I try to hit Judgment as much as possible, not only for the mana, but also for that absorption. And so it is pretty nice, pretty handy. So I would say go for it, and if you want to, go and experiment like I did, and if you like it, you know, change your glyph. I took out the Seal of Truth glyph. Let's take a look here. I took out the Seal of Truth glyph. That's the one that gives you the 10 expertise, because if you haven't noticed, threat is not that hard to get. And the talents, what I did was I think I took out, what did I take out? I think I took out Pursuit of Justice, and I put it in Arbiter of the Light, which increases your crit chance of your Judgment by 12%. So, you know, higher chance for crit on your Judgment, you know, increases its damage done by 10%, you know, makes it hit harder. It's always hit like a wet doodle, so, but, you know, it's working out pretty well for me. So, you know, go ahead and experiment with that if you want to. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the gear, guys, and the ratings. So it's like a open season. So, you know, if you want to get into Raid Guild, this is probably the best time. A few quick things to note before I sign off. I'm actually going to start a series of guide videos for the Blood Death Knight. I recently leveled 1 to 85, and they're hands down the most complicated plate-wearing tank class. So it will definitely be interesting, and it's going to be more than just a guide video. It's going to be more like a video series, and it's actually going to be a pretty cool experiment of mine, so you might want to look out for that. And it's going to be probably close to a daily update like system of videos, so it'll be a nice stream of entertainment for you guys. And if you know, have a Death Knight or want to play one, or you know, have friends or whatever the case is, it's basically playing to a general tanking audience, as well as, you know, obviously a specific Death Knight tanking audience. But yeah, so look out for that. And yeah, so go ahead and subscribe. Leave any questions in the comments, or you know, email them to me, or whatever you guys want to do. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you for listening, watching. Yes.